'Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice bread, not one garage, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo. Take time on night, though we may criticize it. This is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no dream.
Welcome to Facing the Nation for August 26, 2022. As customary, it's a privilege to be here with you guys. And as I always ask, at this time, you can go to your various platforms, the APNU AFC page, the People's National Congress Reform page on Facebook, and the People's National Congress Reform page on YouTube. And you can share those links on your pages. And I know you're tuned in to Channel 6. You can call up a neighbor, friend, tell them, turn on to Channel 6 and check out Facing the Nation. You know, this is a program where we discuss issues. We do have our call-in section as well as some of the programs. So we can hear from you and have a good feedback of what is happening around the country. So today is no different. So go ahead, call up that friend, check our platforms, and let them know Facing the Nation is on today. I want to take this opportunity to remind you that claims and objection period has begun. You should go and check the lists that are posted at the various areas in your community to check to see if the information posted for you on the list of electorate is correct, and let us know what's happening in that regard. And you can also visit your GCOM offices in your communities for same. So like we have been doing over the last 2 weeks, we have been catching up with a few of our regions in regards to what's happening on regional matters, and budget preparations, as you know, has begun for 2023. So today I will not break that trend. With me, I have another special guest, the regional chairman for one of our regions, which is region number 7, which is in control by the coalition in that area, in that region. So we're gonna have a conversation with my guest, Mr. Kenneth Williams, the regional chairman. Welcome to Facing the Nation.
Thank you very much, Shanika, and I feel privileged to be part of your Face the Nation, and I want to tell you right off the bat that you look splendid as usual, and you seem to be in control and all poised and ready. I hope I'm able to answer some of the questions that are asked of me, and I believe that this particular program is very, very important for the development of our regions, especially across the entire country. It's a very integral part of information being disseminated. So I really appreciate the effort that you're making, and I thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, as well, for the flattery, of being a very good representation of Region 7 and its people with their warmness. In this program, I like to usually give persons an opportunity to learn about their representatives, because a lot of the times, like I always say on my program, I have politicians basically on this program. And a lot of the times people see you just as a politician, or you hold a particular office and that's it. But I like to bring out the fact that politicians and people who are representing others are as well humans like everybody else, and they have other things happening. So, like I do with all my first time guests, I would like you to give my audience, a sense of where you grew up and what was it like where you grew up?
Well, thank you for the question, Shanika. And it's a question that is often asked of me. But basically, I'm Bartica bred. I attended up to the primary level, and then I attended the Bishop's High School in Georgetown. So I have two communities that I hold dearly. But basically, I'm Bartica bred. I'm Bartica to the bone. The region number 7 is near and dear to me. I do not consider myself to be anyone else except someone that is Bartica bred, Bartica led, Bartica, I think, and breed Bartica and region number 7. I've visited a lot of countries. I've traveled. I even attempted to live in the States, for the United States, for a period of time, but I'm always drawn back to this beautiful place. And it has kept me it's kept me sane. It's kept me clear. My thoughts are clear when I'm here, and I'm usually very very much involved in everything sports. Everything you can call sports, I'm involved in. I've been the president of the Basketball Association. I've been part of the Cricket Association. I've been part of the Football Association. I've always been part of that. I'm also basically a businessman. I got involved in politics only about 6 years ago, and through probably they saw some talent in me, but I've been elevated to this position. And although it has been challenging, it has really sharpened me to recognize that I have other talents, right? I also have 3 kids, and I really cherish them. I'm a family man. I'm not married, but I'm a family man, and I recognize that a stable family is very, very much important to the elevation of any society. So that's basically me in a nutshell. If I were to tell you some of the lurid stories, it would take hours and hours. But that's basically
Well,
me.
we have a synopsis in this regard, which we'll do.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, so it's nice to hear that part. You started a little to tell us about your involvement in politics, but what I want to have an understanding of is more of, were you an advocate in any form prior to getting involved in this side of politics, or really how did you get involved in politics to the level in which you are today?
Well, I've always been an advocate for change and for the younger population. I recognize that they've always had challenges, or they will always have challenges. And I think that as mature individuals, we have to put our hands up and get involved. We can criticize from the outside, we can criticize the politicians, we can criticize all the programs and plans, and then do not get involved and then blame someone else. So I got involved simply because I recognize there's need for leadership, there's need for someone with my certain talent, and I have chosen this path simply because I think I can serve. I always believe service is the most important thing. And even through the criticism, you are required to stay true to course because you have a higher purpose. You're driven to cause change, to bring a difference in many people's lives. So I'm driven by that passion, and I will not be deterred. And the party that I represent, I know they've had a long history of staying in the trenches, in and out of power, and they have always been that sort of party that will stay the course, help the populace, and recognize there's no difference in ethnicity, there's no difference in class. We're all one, right? Wanting to eke out a living in this vineyard. So I'm driven by that core purpose. And I got involved in 2015 when we had an IMC installed or put in place by our His Excellency David Granger because of the what had happened before, and we were placed there at the town council level. So I gravitated throughout those years to this level where I'm at the RDC, which is the Regional Democratic Council, a sister agency. But after the elections, I was elected as regional chairman. I was the councillor of the RDC at the Mayan Town Council for
Main
the last
Town
five,
Council.
6 years, 4 or 5 years, and I think I performed in a manner that caused me to be elevated to this level at the RDC.
All right, thank you so much for that, answering that for us. At this point, I want us to get a little bit more into why we're here today. Because, like I said, prior to having you, I would have spoken to the regional chairman for region number 4, Mr. Daniel Seram. And last week, our conversation was with Darren Adams of region number 10. And so today we are at your region and you're here to speak to us on primarily the budget issues. So I want to start out basically with I know for the other two regions that I spoke to earlier, they all had an issue where their budgets for 2022 would have seen a decline as the new government would have taken over. And I want to have a sense of what has happened in your region in that regard. Was there a decrease? Was there an increase? What is it like with the 2022 budget in your region?
Well, immediately, Shanika, our total submissions came up to about $5.6 billion, and we only got I think $3.4 billion. So we saw a significant decrease in terms of we proposed and the government cut down. I know it's a norm for governments to cut down, but that was very, very significant, and it caused much angst amongst the councillors and the populace at large, the communities at large, because some of the major things that were removed, one major thing was the X-ray machines. We were asking for new X-ray machines for that would have been to the tune of about $50 million. We were denied that, and we were told that the ministry would have been their intent would be to buy these machines and not let it go through the regions.
Your region.
Lo and behold, I think that only about a couple of weeks or a month ago, we were able to get the X-ray machine after so many months. We would have submitted the budget proposals, and we were now able to get the X-ray machine. My point is this: when the communities come together and they propose these projects, it cannot be someone sitting in the Ministry of Finance having that authority to simply remove, cut, prune, take out what they wish willy-nilly and simply give you some very normal reason, some reason that is not acceptable why they're pruning or they're cutting. And that has always been the problem. From the regional standpoint, you're proposing these projects. You're getting these projects from the communities far and wide. They're desperately in need of these projects. You do your consultations. These people send on these projects to you. You do you prioritize. You say this is what is needed based on the region's position. When it reaches the finance, then the finance with a couple of guys sitting in the room. That's how I usually like to think of it. They take the option. They have the option of removing based on your ability to explain why you need it. If you're able to articulate your position, then you get it much more quicker than someone who is unable to. And I'm saying that should not be. It should not be as willy-nilly as that. It should be needs, what is needed and what is best for the community. So we are now accessing an X-ray machine. I'm just using that as a perfect example of how unfair the process can be.
Correct.
Right? In the meantime, you had persons who would have gotten into accidents, we were unable to properly assess because we have a dilapidated machine there right now, or we were using a dilapidated machine, but persons were unable to access a brand new X-ray machine or a good X-ray machine
Mhm.
to give you an indication of what has happened to them. So that's
Well,
my
I'm figuring the example that you're giving there is just one of the many things that were taken off in that regard. And one of the things I always, when I've had these conversations with the chairmans, is to point out the fact that this has been happening primarily in regions that are run by the coalition. We have seen it, like I said, in Region 4, Region 10, Region 7, and we have not seen that level of reduction in any budget proposals in regions that are run by the PPPC. And I like to make that point very clear to the viewers when we're having these discussions. You started to talk a bit about how you get around to the budget and even explaining what happened with the decrease. And this is something that I want to talk to now from the standpoint of budget 2023, which is one of the major reasons we're here talking. I noted that we have been seeing you doing lots of consultations. You have embarked on consultations throughout the communities, and we've seen you going in, especially as well to the Amerindian communities and consulting on what is needed for the budget. I want to have a sense of what, maybe you can tell us some of the areas that you went into, and also what are some of the major, or maybe the three major things that are being requested in this consultation by citizens in your region?
all right. Primarily, Shanika, I did go to the Upper Demerara District Games, and I used that opportunity to engage many of the Tushaus and the village leaders
Mm,
about what are their plans and their needs. And the plans and needs are varied, right?
mm,
In terms of health, they want better health facilities. You would
mm,
recognize that in a couple of months ago, the Minister of Health, I think, mentioned that $100 million would have been earmarked for 16 or 17 health facilities. And I had that conversation with him. I'm saying that's that sounds nice. It's a good political mileage. But my conversation with him would be, you are enhancing these edifices, or you enhancing the infrastructure of these health facilities in these various communities.
mm,
But we do not have the specialists there. We do not have people who are able to diagnose, or the diagnostic capacity. We don't have the
mhm,
persons there. So
mhm,
it has to be hand in hand. Where are we
mhm,
going to get the professionals? Nobody wants to go into these interior regions. Nobody wants to go. And I position this, I made it clear to him that it's simply because they haven't been incentivized. They
yep.
have to be incentivized. You can't ask a doctor who who will pay $100 for a pound of tomatoes. I'm just being facetious here, to go into the my Amerindian communities and find tomatoes are $800 per pound, right? With the same
Mm,
salary. So
yep.
you have to. I told them you have to. So we're finding it difficult to get doctors. We're finding it difficult, a difficulty in getting medical personnel to reach to those particular areas. So in
Mhm,
terms of health, they're always asking for medical personnel and an improvement in the actual structure of these facilities in the various communities, right?
mhm,
In
mhm,
terms of schools, they still struggle with internet connection. A
mhm,
basic thing like internet connection is still struggling. Even in region number 7, where at Central, we are at a position where we are still struggling to provide basic. We still have lots of challenges in relation to the internet connectivity.
mhm,
Imagine a community that is 2 hours away from here by a plane or by a boat. So
mhm,
those communities are struggling to have that sort of connectivity in terms of education. We are improving the infrastructure all the time, but the personnel and internet connectivity continues to be one particular um, angst that they struggle with all the
Mm,
time. In terms of sporting facilities, most
mm,
of the grounds need lights. Um, the solar lights, some of the grounds were done by the coalition and they've fallen into disrepair,
mm,
right? In places like Kanguruma, and Porima, they're desperately seeking lights for the sporting facilities. I'm just giving you off the bat.
yeah.
But whether it be health, whether it be education, whether it be sporting facilities, we are seeing a continuous struggle to move from one level to the next.
Mhm. All
They have
right.
not seen a progression in the last couple of years in terms of
Mm,
improvement in the basic facilities. That is what
mm.
I'm trying to say.
Well, I see the things that you're outlining here. And even when we reach out to not just in Region 7, but other Amerindian communities, the things that you're mentioning is key. And like you said as well in Bartica, in fact, coincidentally this morning, I saw one of our social media, I think it was Miss Odessa Primus, talking about being in Region 7 and how bad the internet connection is there in regard to what she's trying to do. But also, coincidentally, for us to be able to get this program up and running today, we had to basically we had to get internet connection to be here due to the issue of you not getting um, to come down to town. I think we're having a bit of technical difficulty. I think I've lost the chairman as we're talking about internet. We've lost him. I'm going to see if the technicians can get him up again. But I mean, he has made some points there regarding what could be done and what the community is seeking to have done for them. I'm noting that he also talked about the health situation, which is very key right now to what is happening in the community at hand. I'm checking with my technicians to see what's happening there, to see if we can get him up and running. All right. Let's see if we can get him back. All right. So the regional chairman would have been able to outline to us some of the issues in the consultation that are being sought by the residents there. And one thing he as well is pointing out, while the minister is talking about, just having equipment and using $100 million to have X, Y, and Z done, personnel as well is a problem. And this is something, I mean, I've been speaking about, other persons have been speaking about, where we have things that are being planned and money is being put in to so many projects, but it is not being thought out. There is no real vision put to it, no real plan for execution either or implementation. Because if you buy expensive equipment, but you don't have the personnel to carry the equipment, then we're basically at the same place when it comes to what is happening. I'm trying to see if my technician Andrew Weeks is getting this getting chairman up again. We seem to be having some technical difficulties with him. Yeah, so these are some of the issues that are being discussed. And as he would have pointed out, we have the issue of the decrease in budgets, and hence why consultation is extremely important in us getting up and running what needs to be placed into those budgets so that we can have a budget that is people-centered. As you know, we are continuing to push and speak about a people-centered budget where people are able to benefit at the best level and have their issues resolved in that forum. So this is something that all the regions that we have spoken to thus far have been working on. They've been going out into all the communities within their regions to ensure that what will be presented for the 2023 budget will be budgets that cater to the needs of people in regards to what the regional infrastructure and all the things that come under that, whether it be school, whether it be roads, whether it be healthcare, and the provision of facilities for sport, etc. So this is the reason for those consultations. So when Budget 2023 is presented and the ministry has already done what they have to do, if they do decide that they will keep those, you know, whether they'll decrease or keep what is being requested for the budget, then we will know whether the PPP is serious about talking about a one Guyana, or as we are currently seeing, it is nothing but a mantra in regards to that. At this time, I think we will have to take a quick break to see if we can have this issue resolved, and we'll be back.
Well, my thoughts are clearly evidenced on what was the outcome of that interview. Our vice president has indulged in a lot of abominable activities, abhorrent activities. And you know, this fella goes around the country with an aura of invincibility. That is what he does, because of the fact that he has been allowed to do it by that set of jagabats that now govern the PPP. They have allowed him to be all important. He know oil, he know aeronautics, he know investment, he know economics, he know politics, everything he know. It's like that football sketch that we saw in Stabrook News today, where he is left back, right back, center forward, goalkeeper, and even the referee. You know, and so it is created by the PPP that has created that monster, and it is that monster now that is getting reckless, because you know there are blind spots in relation to power. Power can mislead insofar as it prevents, you know, people from thinking that we are breaching the rules. And he now gone and get the middleman there, that fella called Sue, and then invites the man even at his house, when he was telling people in America that y'all are rowing about investments and so on. Y'all want to personalize the thing. Y'all must take the thing to go invest. The one-stop shop. But he now brings the people to his house and tell the people, here, Sue gonna look after the agreement. I gonna do the government side of the thing. Here, man, what you think happening there? The thing is with corruption all over it. And he could go and say that he's the Teflon man, that it will not affect him. But I know that people inside of the PPP now realize that this cult personality that he wants to build around Jagdeo, just like how Putin has done it in Moscow. That's the place that he got training in. He knows the system very well out of Moscow. And that is what he's doing here. And you got a set of people who just go and worship him. Oh, he's a genius. This fella's knowledge about politics and economics is encyclopedic. If you see the crap they talk about this fella. And that is why now, with this aura and the leeway that he is given, you're certainly going to have that creature that is now turning out to be a monster for our investment prospects, our country. But somehow they have lost their sense of courage and their sense of principle to pull back the party away from him. And that is what I used to tell them, that you allow Jagdeo to do what he wants, he's going to run roughshod and riot over all of you. And it has turned out to be exactly that. Exactly that has happened. So if for the sake of our country, for the sake of the investments, for the sake of the future of this country, it is necessary, just like how you would have it in any other liberal democratic order, an investigation carried out, even if it's an internal investigation. And at the appropriate time, knowing very well that we got 2 terms and no more, that the president, their finale, could say, PJ, just take a turn. Take the right turn, like the AFC. Take right turns. Go along your way. Oh, yes, you could be at the party. Go to Freedom House. Don't come here. Don't go and meet investors. We want to meet investors for. We're spending over $500 million on Go Invest. More than that, we give Go Invest. That's the place people should go.
Welcome back to Facing the Nation. We ended our conversation with the regional chairman talking about internet issues, etc. And sometimes I feel that some of these things are very deliberate, but we will have to continue the conversation with the chairman via phone in this case, because for some reason the internet connection has failed us in Region 7. Are you hearing me, Chairman?
Loud and clear, Shanika. Loud and clear. I'm hearing you. And I do apologize to all the listeners and all the viewers.
All right. So I'm hoping that our viewers are hearing you loud and clear as well. I mean, you just ended off about talking about what are some of the things that the community is looking forward to and the things that they would have discussed with you in regard to what they're looking for. What I'll ask of you now is, with that being said, and I know that we're almost through with the consultation period, what can the persons in the region look forward to in that 2023 budget?
Well, thank you once again, Shanika. The consultations have been robust. They've been extensive. And the process, in my opinion, has been an excellent one. We're still awaiting, because for those of you who know, Region number 7 has its challenges in terms of connectivity and has its challenges in terms of geography, getting to some of these remote areas. So we're still awaiting some projects to be sent in purported projects to be sent in from the various communities that are far and wide.
Mm-hmm.
From Kaikan, only recently we had the flood situation that affected them tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
So the Tushao and a couple others are extremely busy in dealing with the traumatic events that have been affecting them in the short period or this particular time.
Mm-hmm.
So for some of those areas, we're still awaiting the submissions,
Mm-hmm.
but we've gathered lots of submissions from the various communities, from the lower mines and from the middle mines, and we have a sense of what will be asked for, right? Because as I told you before, we request and then we depend on the Ministry of Finance to make those decisions, of government of Vienna to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said before, throughout health, sports, it's basically similar things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People need American hostels. People need mental health facilities. People need ATPs.
Mm-hmm.
People need access to the farm to market routes. Places like Kako and Cameron, they want the routes completed because it is important for them to get the produce from one area to the next or to the other. It's sometimes the requests are very repetitive. They've been asking for some of these things in the last couple of years, and it has not been forthcoming as they should have been, or these projects should have been in the RDC's opinion. So we're going to keep pressing, and like for Cameron itself, we have started the rehabilitation process or trying to elevate the Cameron Hospital to a higher level where most of the persons in the upper Mazzarini areas can easily access that area. I want to quickly and briefly digress to some of the things I had asked for when I attained office. These are major projects or projects that are outside of the purview of the RDC. These are not to be governmental projects. So I can quickly go through because I know them from the top of my head. For instance, I asked for all the streets in Region 7, streets and avenues, to be resurfaced, and we should include pavements. These streets were refurbished since in the 90s.
Okay. All right. I seem to have lost him again on this, but he was basically outlining some of the things that were done during that period and the things that he has been asking for. 1 second. We lost you there for a bit.
Yes, I'm back. I apologize once again.
That's okay. You were listing some of the major projects.
Yes. So I want the streets to be resurfaced. I wrote both local governments and Mr. Ejel, and the response has not been forthcoming because these streets and avenues were resurfaced in the 90s. They now are unable to bear the weight of so many vehicles that are traversing. So we're just doing patchwork every single year. And we sometimes look like we have no idea what we're doing simply because the holes keep appearing, the potholes, and then the citizens are upset. But I've indicated to them we cannot be spending so much money from the RDC level just patching and not have a grand plan to resurface
the road
and to cater for so many vehicles that have been added to the fleet in these last couple of years. So quickly, I want to talk about my beaches too. I asked for all beaches to be resanded, and throughout the third to Fourth Avenue beach, we have beaches at the Baiderabu area, we have beaches at the 7th Avenue area. They all have to be resanded, and those are major projects. I recognize that if we would have sports tourism, adventure tourism, all the rest of tourism, it has to come in. We have to improve our facilities. We cannot aim to be the model tourism destination and we don't have these basic things at hand. So these will have to be interventions from the government. I also ask them to make sure that the road from Region 3 to Region 7 is completed.
Mm-hmm.
The Bartagans to Mary Road. Unfortunately, for the last couple of years, we had the first year it was making a feasibility study. This year, they're doing alignment. I don't know what the next couple of years will be, but that will be an important access point for Region 7 connecting with Region 3. We recognize it as integral importance because if someone is able to travel from Georgetown to Bartica in 2 hours or an hour and a half via their vehicle, it would obviously cause an improvement in trade, industry, commerce,
and tourism. Mm-hmm.
Right? So the Chinese man says, get well the road. You also want the road from Region 7 to the Middle Margin area because the Bartica to the Sana Road to be completed.
Mm-hmm.
It was partially done in the coalition time. Now to return to worst possible state.
Mm-hmm.
We also want the road from Region 7 to Magia to be completed because we recognize that these communities have to be connected to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's 7 being connected to 8, that's 7 being connected to Minimajo, and that's 7 being connected to Region 3, which will in turn cause Region 2 to get easy access to Region 7 or Bartica to play. So those are some of the vital things I spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
I asked for initially, right? We also have months of pool drainage work or excessive rainfall in this particular in some particular areas, and it affects the entire community. Then you cannot access the roads because water has risen to such a level in some of the rural networks. Our drainage system is badly in need of modernization.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just 4 of the things. I asked for 24 possible improvement, major improvement projects
for the
we have
region.
not had anything done for us in Region 7. I could go on and on.
I'm sure.
It would last for another program.
I understand that.
Since Region 7 is poised to be the hub for so many activities in this country. And if you to move to the next level, it has to get the basic resources that are expertise to take it to the next level. I could go on to the region, to the Margin areas. I asked that small solar farms in place are placed in all the communities simply because of this. If you have energy, if you have energy generation, then we could anticipate that with all the other associated industries will do. You can imagine education included because you will have more time to study. You could imagine trade industry, every single thing in tourism will improve simply because of these communities have a small solar farm. I've been encouraging every single to show that I've been in contact with to make that deal. Not ask for a tractor, not ask for the basic. Ask that your community has adequate power. Ask, demand, make sure that government makes that a possibility. Every single community in the indigenous community should have the independent power. It's almost, we are almost in the dark ages when we go to these communities. Because simply because we don't have power generation. We don't have access to the internet and lots of things that under the cover of darkness.
And I understand that I note as well while we continue and I'm seeing you pushing on this issue of internet access, that it should be noted that the coalition during the time did start to implement internet hubs in those areas so that people can have access to information and that kind of thing that you're talking about there. I know that in some communities, and I'm going to ask you here now, if it is the same issue in Region 7, where some of those hubs are that they're now non-functioning since the return of the PPP. What is the state with those internet hubs in your region?
Well, there's been no progression, in my opinion. Most of them have returned
Mm-hmm.
They have not been maintained, in my opinion, and
Mm-hmm.
they have not been improved, in my opinion. Right? We have
Okay.
many promises. I can remember the state chair, she promised to improve tourism communities that I spoke to her directly about.
Mm-hmm.
And yet to see the improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I know they were given some grants, and what in the grants they were asked to use the grant to improve
For
their
improve.
services. But I have not seen any improvement in most of the surroundings in Region 7
Mm-hmm.
and close below Mazzarini. They are still in the dark ages when it comes to internet service. They're worse off than bad because you can imagine where they are.
All right. I also noted you made mention, and this would have been my next question because if persons are following the news, we saw, I think it was only in the start of this week, one of the communities in Region 7 where there is heavy flooding happening. They're literally seeing water almost to the roof of a building. Could you shed some light on that?
But the community is Kaitan. It's a
Kaikan.
northern community. It's close to the border, obviously. And it's unfortunate that they're experiencing such such a tragedy at this particular time. It's a combination of high tides and heavy rainfall,
Mm,
right? The solution to those things are not as simple as we may seem.
mm,
But even whilst we are so far away from them,
mm,
we feel their pain, we understand what they're going through because it's I think a lot of, at the last count I would have gotten, it's about 45 camps slash homes. And many of them were struggling to eke out a living at any
mm,
cost. And
mm,
now they're even under more pressure to
mm,
survive based on this unfortunate train of events, right? We intend to monitor and we are evaluating, and as soon as we are able to, we will join with the CDC and provide summary. And though that the water has receded a little bit, and the official has assured me that they are working feverishly to remove some of the residents and place them at higher
mm.
ground or in higher ground. So from the RDC level, we really will feel the pain and we really understand, just really are trying to understand, assess.
So from the RDC level, and I'm sure the CDC has probably been called in on this. Are you guys able as yet to reach out and get any services? All right. I think we may have lost him again. Today's program has been quite difficult in this sense to communicate for varying reasons, I am sure. Yes, I have you again, Chairman. Hello? Yes, I was asking you.
Remarkable. I'm almost done beyond belief. Network went down twice in a conversation. This is almost, but let's go.
Yes, I was asking you, as the regional body and the CDC, as I know that they would have already been called in the issue with the floods. Um, if you have begun to give any relief or any help as yet to the persons in that community.
No, we're still in the assessment stage.
Okay.
What I noticed, what I can assure you, we will be visiting that area as soon as it is possible,
Mm-hmm.
right? As I said before, it's not an area that you get to easily.
Easily. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's near to the border,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not something you can get to in 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
I understand that. All right. We are coming down to a very sharp or closest time here. So I want us to wrap up on this. I want you to give you the opportunity, as a matter of fact, I should say, give you the opportunity We discussed pretty much the budget. We talked about the flooding, what is expected. But is there anything else that you would like my viewers and persons listening generally to know or understand about Region 7 at this time?
Yes, again, Seneca. I want to promote my region. I
Mhm.
love my region, and I guess lots of people do. When they get a chance to visit, they recognize we have a bundle of potential. But for that potential to be actualized or for it to be something that really happens in the near future, you need the support of all of the country. Some of the
Mhm.
projects that I indicated or indicated about earlier, they're desperately needed for our region to move from one place to the next. It is important that we recognize that Region 7, despite its sometimes difficult accessibility,
Mhm.
we have everything that is needed for as a hinterland area to give Guyana a boost. Why am I saying that? It is it is not folklore, but I understand the former Board president. He mentioned that in for any area to develop, we need the cooperation of the coastal zone or the persons on the coast to recognize that the hinterland regions are extremely important
Mhm.
for our country to develop.
Mhm.
If the hinterland region continues to lag behind in terms of development,
Mhm.
then I cannot see, and he could not see in his time,
Mhm.
any sort of major development in the country going forward. You
Mhm.
cannot be focusing on the coastal area without recognizing that the hinterland is almost lagging behind in terms of important development, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of health, in
Mhm.
terms of all of the country. We need support. We need that support. So I'm pleading central government and pleading for the business, all the business men and women in Guyana to recognize that we have a bundle of opportunities in Region
Mhm.
7 and in the process of preparing an investment portfolio for Region 7 that will be handed out and I'm doing that without the help of the government and intending to make sure that Region 7 is elevated to the place that it really should be. And I'm hoping that all the other hinterland regions will get an opportunity to be in the middle of the development trust of what is potentially the best country in the world, or what is the best country in the world. So I view Guyana as
Very
the best country in
well.
the world,
Very
and
well.
I'm thinking that our regions, our hinterland regions, need support to move from strength to strength.
All right. Well, once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today on Facing the Nation. Despite you would have persevered, despite us having all these technical difficulties to ensure that we pull this program off with you today. And I just want to say thank you for joining us.
So thank you, Shamika, and thank you for Nation Watch. I continue to think that you do an excellent job. I think that I pray God's guidance and whatever you do today, be good and be careful.
All right. Thank you for joining us. All right, viewers, at this time, I want, just as before we close off, because we know we're basically out of time today, I just want to let you know that come August 3rd, the coalition partners, which will also at this point, this rally will include WPA. We will be having another big rally, which will be taking place on the east coast of Demerara. This will be held at the Golden Grove Market Street, 4:30 on the 3rd of August. And this, of course, is another event that you shouldn't miss. I don't know if my operator has the flyer up that he can show you. Yes, there it is. So we have this rally coming up on August 3rd, and it is something that you do not want to miss as we continue to speak to the issues and deal with the matters as they arise so that we can push back against the wanton unequal distribution of resources and corruption and the issue of the clean voters list, in which we need to move forward if we're going to have any other elections in this country. So I'm saying to you, August 3rd, 4:30, Golden Grove Market Street is the place to be. Tell a friend, tell a family. I mean, look for us on social media, share the flyers, and ensure that you come out to that event. We have lots of speakers. We have Mr. Kadaki, who is from the WPA, Miss Cathy Hughes, Vince Roy Jordan, the Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, who is the leader of the AFC. You have young, vibrant activists like Miss Robin Simon, I think is the last name. You have Reyes Rupnarain, who will be a speaker, and yours truly, and our chairperson being Christopher Jones. So it's a rally you don't want to miss. So again, I'd like to thank you for joining Facing the Nation. And I do hope this program would have brought some light on what's happening in Region 7 so we can all understand what's happening countrywide. Thank you once again for joining Facing the Nation. Do have a wonderful afternoon.
'Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice bread, not one garage, not a bit of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo. Take time on night, though we may criticize it. This is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up. We ain't giving up no, we ain't giving up.